Boxing truth here. Sergey Kovalev knocking out Andre Ward, or a Sergey Kovalev victory on November 19th, is better for boxing, in my opinion. It's just this based off circumstances surrounding both guys' parties, their relationships with other entities in the boxing business. Also, one guy is momentum is rising and rising. Another guy is taking tune-ups after a period of inactivity, and there's really no immediate plans for Andre Ward besides a contractual rematch clause if Andre Ward was to defeat Sergey Kovalev. But in my opinion, a Sergey Kovalev victory is just better for boxing. Kovalev's gonna keep pursuing his legacy. He's gonna continue to be active. He's just gonna keep fighting and being involved in the biggest fights that he can. And fights against Adonis Stevenson and Bitabeev, those fights are much more possible to make compared to Andre Ward winning. Andre Ward is not going to fight Al Haymon fighters. He's not going to fight a Bitabeev. He's not going to fight an Adonis Stevenson. Those fights are just not going to happen. If Ward defeats Kovalev, there's a rematch clause, so he'd be contracted to do a rematch. But what's the plan for Andre Ward after that? He's talking about a dream that he has to perhaps pursue a fight in the heavyweight division, perhaps gain a strap in the heavyweight division, something he's always talked about in the past. But there's really no a heavyweight opponent he could cherry pick for a belt like Roy Jones did and James Toney did in the past when they opted to fight John Ruiz for a world title. There's really no John Ruiz in the heavyweight landscape of that division right now. The divisions is filled with better athletes, better opponents, better champions, more dangerous fights for an undersized guy like Andre Ward, who doesn't have the physical attributes of a Roy Jones or a James Toney. Ward has the skill, but Toney, I felt Toney was a more skilled fighter. Bigger puncher, more physical. I don't see Andre Ward having a successful run if he was ever to compete at heavyweight. But in the case of Kovalev, he's a more exciting fighter. He has a more dynamic offensive style. He's willing to fight anybody in the world. He's been consistent. He's been active. He hasn't disappointed HBO like Andre Ward has. And if he defeats Andre Ward like I expect him to knock out Andre Ward. The show's going to continue in the light heavyweight division. There's going to be opponents. If the fight is good enough, there could be a rematch against Andre Ward, depending on the business it does and how good the fight is. If Kovalev destroys Andre Ward, then he's going to have to move on with his career. He's going to have to see if he can pursue an undisputed title fight with Adonis Stevenson. Stevenson has already stated he wants the winner, but he needs Al Haymon's permission in order to get that fight. I don't see why not. Well, I really don't know if Haymon is up for that fight. Maybe he has other plans for Adonis Stevenson. But from the outside looking in, I see Kovalev having a better chance of fighting Adonis Stevenson than Andre Ward. Because Ward is really not willing to fight a Haymon fighter, and there hasn't been any business done between Ward's promoter and Haymon so far, since Rock Nations has been in the business. But as the fight is approaching, people still view it as a 50-50 fight. I'm seeing a lot of people, really based in America, they see this as Ward being too Too versatile, too skillful for Kovalev. Underestimating the type of run Kovalev has been on, the type of opponents he's been destroying, the type of styles he's been in. He's been in with different styles. And now here comes Ward with his technical defensive style. But ask yourself this question. Are you, for the people that are pulling for Ward and they think Ward's going to win, for whatever reason you may have, but let me just ask you this. Are you really going to bank on the success Andre Ward achieved over 5 years ago? Are you really going to base it on a Super 6 tournament for him to defeat Kovalev? Stuff he did over 5 years ago. And if you look at the best opponents Andre Ward has defeated, are any of those guys a Carl Frosch, a Mikkel Kessler, or an Offer Abraham? Those are his best wins, aren't they? Those are the biggest names on his resume. Are any of those guys I've just mentioned better than Sergey Kovalev? Or any of those guys as dominant or as good of a fighter as Kovalev at the time Andre Ward fought him? Andre Ward was an underdog against Miguel Kessler, but Miguel Kessler was no killer like Sergey Kovalev. He already been defeated. He already been schooled by Joe Calzaghe. Offer Abraham is a very flawed fighter. A strong guy, but a guy that could be outboxed, as it's been done on numerous occasions in his career, following his loss to Frosch and Andre Ward and others. Who else? Carl Frosch. He already been defeated by the time he fought Andre Ward, and he's not really as fluid or a bigger puncher as a Sergey Kovalev. Chad Dawson was the only pound-for-pound level fighter Andre Ward defeated, and he was drained and never got back to the level he was prior to the fight with Andre Ward and following the fight with Andre Ward. And because of that, if you compare the opponents of Ward's in the past and you compare his run recently, the type of opponents he's been fighting, how he's been looking in his subsequent fights since returning from inactivity, you can definitely see that this is the most dangerous, the best opponent Andre Ward has ever fought in Sergey Kovalev. I'm not only rooting for a Kovalev victory. I think it's better for the sport. I think Kovalev will continue to keep his star rising. He has a more dynamic fighting style. He's just more exciting to watch. Andre Ward, him becoming a superstar, that ship has sailed. I just don't see it. He doesn't have the style or the knockout power. Doesn't have the type of persona either. He can't be a Floyd Mayweather. He's just not that type of guy. He chooses not to be that guy, and that's totally fine. He doesn't want to be a controversial figure or a loudmouth or an asshole like Floyd Mayweather. But it's not really going to generate more asses in the seats or eyeballs on TVs when it comes to Andre Ward's star power. But a Kovalev victory, I feel, is better for the sport. Fights are more possible to be made. And if Kovalev can continue his dominant run and somehow get a stunning knockout victory over Andre Ward, the sky's the limit for Sergey Kovalev. I'm pushing for a Kovalev victory. But Kovalev, I feel, is going to stun the boxing world with a devastating knockout of Andre Ward November 19th. This is Boxing Truth. I'm out.